Welcome to Thriving Entrepreneur with your host, Steve Kidd, third-generation minister and 30-year business coach. Listen in as amazing, world-changing authors, speakers, and coaches share their struggles and victories. And hear from best-selling authors' insight into how you too can live your life as a thriving entrepreneur.
This is Steve. Welcome to Thriving Entrepreneur. As always, I am so glad to have you here with us today to celebrate and to thrive in your life and business. And today is no different. Today is the day that no matter what's been, no matter what's coming, today, as my good friend Ernie Villanueva would say, today is your only legal tender. And today you have the opportunity to learn from what was. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, VTech, with their 4-line small business phone system. This thing is so amazing. So I want you to stop for a second. If you're not driving, close your eyes. How many phones do you have in your company right now? How many of them do everything you need for them to do? How many of them are the same system? And how many of them are just little pieces of this, little pieces of that? Now, for some of you, that answer was one. So, then the other questions, the answer was, well, all of them. A few people, even the answer was, well, I just have my cell phone. The point being is that as we grow in our business, we want our company to sound as professional as possible. We want to present to the world the best possible version of our company the minute somebody gets on the phone with us. And the VTech 4-line small business phone system gives you the ability to do that. Whether you are that person who said, well, I just have one phone line, or you already have 10 lines, you have a couple of incoming lines and a couple of extensions, wherever you're at, the VTech 4-line small business phone system is the solution for you. It's something you can implement the day you get it. You need no technical skill to be able to do it, and yet it has the ability to do some of the most advanced features that any phone system you can purchase for your small business has the ability to do, all the day you open the box. You can order your VTech 4-line small business phone system, have it arrive in the mail, and the day it arrives in the mail, have your company fully functioning on a brand new, full-featured 4-line small business phone system. How does that sound? Check out VTech, their 4-line small business phone system. Are you thriving today? Are you? I mean, some days when we listen to the show, we're not. And it's okay. I mean, the show is my guilty pleasure, but I still have days when I have to center myself and realize that I'm put on this earth with a purpose, with a reason that I'm here. And then my purpose is what propels me to something better. That's why it's so important that we understand the core of who we are as people before we try to move forward with our vision. If we are shooting at everything, then we're going to hit absolutely nothing. The age-old phrase, if you aim at nothing, you'll probably hit it. It's so easy early on in our business to say, well, I don't want to limit my target market. I want to make sure that I include everybody else. There are so many people that this business can reach. Have you ever said that? We've all said it at some point in our business growth. But eventually, we get to the place where we realize that the best way for us to be able to serve the people we were meant to serve, that's so important of a word, to serve the people we were meant to serve, is by being specific enough. You cannot serve everybody because you can't create a message that speaks to everyone. But if you will hone that message down, chop it down, chop it down, chop it down, get more and more and more and more and more focused, then you will actually reach more and more and more people. I mean, Nike does it. Nike focuses their target market on each new product down to an individual, an avatar that they create that is their ideal target market customer. And then, of course, they sell it to millions of other people because their marketing is clear. This is who I'm speaking to. They have the answer for what they're doing before they come into it. And so think about it. If you had it cleared down to that one person, you could then ask yourself, I have this great opportunity, but is that person going to be there? And if they are, then absolutely, it's a no-brainer. You should do it. And if they're not, guess what? It's just as easy of a no-brainer because then you shouldn't do it. Those are the kind of things that clarity of purpose brings into our business, but it's bigger than that because there are going to be hard times. There are going to be times in your business where you will struggle. It could be something as simple as you've had a bad day, you aren't feeling well, you're really sick, and yet stuff needs to get done. And that clarity of purpose, that passion inside of us, that's what propels us through those hard days, through those days when the bank account doesn't have the high positive balance that we want it to have. Our purpose pulls us through because we know that we're serving the people we're meant to serve. And then, of course, in the great times, it's so great to be able to see how much our passion has served other people. Now, our passion typically ends up showing up in our lives in the circumstances that we each have in our own lives. And those circumstances are always different for every single person. No two people are alike. I could take and sit you in a room right now with two people who work the exact same job. Let's say both of them are accountants, and both of them, their specialty is yearly tax preparation for small businesses of 10 or less people. There's no more than 10 employees total in the business, and their preference would be sole proprietorships that are an individual or at the most a husband and wife team. Pretty clear on our purpose when we were just talking about that a minute ago, right? So let's say that you have two people that are going after that same exact market. The thing about it is the words they say, the part of it that appeals to them, their story, their background, their message is going to be totally different. Next time you're in a networking meeting, especially if it's one that is diverse enough that it has multiple different types of people, but it also has people from same or similar industries. If you get a chance to hear them talk about what they do, and you can set it up so that you can have two people that are, like I said, two mortgage brokers, two real estate agents, two tax preparers. Those are, people that you really easily can find in a networking meeting. Listen to both of them, tell what they do, and then ask them, what is it about your business that really inspires you the most? And be ready, because the story is going to probably be different. And then if you need to follow that up to have even more information to determine, what I'm saying is true, you can ask them, so how did you get into that? And it's fun to listen to the stories. People, have had life circumstances that have caused them to be that way. They've had parents, relatives, people they respect and admire that have done that. They've had, let's be honest, some of us, got into some of the businesses that we have out of a rebellious spirit. We wanted to prove to the world that we could do that. And we, along the way, discovered that it was actually something we really love and are good at and can serve the world with. But it's fun to hear those different things because it's your purpose that propels you. So why am I talking so much about purpose this morning? Well, because I want you to really listen to this set of best-selling authors. At first blush, when you hear these two books, you're going to think, wow, these stories are so diversely different. Why did you put them together? And I actually thought that myself for a minute when I was thinking about who was coming up for the show today. And then I realized it is perfectly an example of how diverse our lives are. And yet the story that rings through all of it is that when we are ready and willing to learn the lessons, we can come through the circumstances of our life. We can not only be better people, but we then have a gift that we can share and give to the world. And that's what I want you to realize, to hear, and to discover within yourself today. What is that purpose, that passion? What gift has been installed in me from birth that I'm meant to share with the world? And how has the circumstances, the high points and the low in my life, how do those merge together and end up creating this beautiful symphony that is you, is your passion, that is your purpose, and is the reason why you're here, and the reason why you too need to share your story and be a best-selling author? Are you ready to go on a journey that's going to help you hear some really useful tips and also help you see just how important and impactful your message is to the world? I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready to take some notes, because we've got some really good information from a couple of great guests and some things that are really going to help you in your life and your business too. So get ready. We will be introducing a couple of best-selling authors to you right after this break. You're listening to Thriving Entrepreneur. You've heard Kathy and I talk about it. You've seen the workshops. You have watched as others of your friends have become a best-selling author. And now it's your turn. Let me ask you this. What would being a best-selling author do for your business? Over 80% of people surveyed said that they want to write a book, which means that if you're listening, you probably are one of those people. Now is your time, because you have a message that needs to be shared. That message is not for you. It's not for your ego. It is because it serves other people. Kathy and I are here to help you share your unique brilliance with the world. All you need to do is go to WeHelpYouThrive.com, check us out, and find out how you can be a best-selling author today.
Welcome back to Thriving Entrepreneur.
This is Steve. Welcome back. You are meant for a purpose. You are here for a purpose. You have installed and instilled within you a passion and a purpose that the world needs. They need you. You need to share who you are with the world, because what you've been through and now come out of are so important and so impactful that even the darkest of your times, it isn't that you were made to go through them, but they are definitely things that now that you have gone through them, help you to be even better, even greater than what you were meant to be. I'm not one of those people who believes that the lowest parts of our life are something that, a higher power, God, whatever you believe in, puts on us. But I do believe that in spite of the mistakes that we all make, the problems, the psychological issues, whatever you might want to say, that each of us encounter, that each of us have a way out, and that those lowest points that we get ourselves into, let's just be honest, we get ourselves into, that those times become the catalyst for more, for better, and for greater. Situations in our life that interrupt all of our life and must be faced. They kind of force us to, in fact. If we don't face them, they're just going to keep coming up until we do. And one of those probably the biggest one of those, in fact, has to do with things in our marriages. To help us be able to talk about that today, I'm joined by best-selling author Taneisha Mitchell, and she's going to talk about her book, After the Affair. Hi, Taneisha. How are you today?
Hi, how are you, Steve? I'm great. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm doing good. So, tell us a little bit about you. I know you work in the health field, but tell us a little bit about what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, I would love to. On my day-to-day basis, I'm a registered nurse. I own a home health care agency, A Plus Healthcare Partners. And so I see a lot of clients and make sure that we're decreasing mortality and morbidity throughout the community from a disease process perspective. And now with my writing, I'm really tying those conditions of the heart to the emotional side. We talk a lot about medical conditions, but we don't talk a lot about emotional conditions of the heart. And so when we suffer with some of those emotional conditions of the heart, they tend to lead into our relationships. And, with my marriage, I really talk about in my book, After the Affair, What's Next, not only what happened after the affair, but really what led up to the affair in the first place. When you carry certain pain around from past relationships, you tend to love with a shielded heart. And so in loving with a shielded heart, I was never willing to love full out, love completely. And when I met my husband, he loved me to death and gave me all of his love, but I really didn't know how to accept it. I didn't accept it as being real, actually, because my heart was shielded. My heart had been broken plenty of times, and I refused to let it get broken again. So that's really how we even got to the point where I was willing to sabotage my marriage by doing things that were dysfunctional to get back to the place that I was used to. He showed me something new, and I really just wasn't used to it. Again, I didn't think it was real, so I started making situations where it became kind of dysfunctional. I never trusted men, ever since I was 17, and it took me 25 years to actually say this out loud because I kept it to myself. But, when I was 17, my mother found out that my father had an affair, and she was ready to commit suicide in front of me. She put a gun to her head and said, she was going to end her life, and I had to beg her not to end her life. And she didn't, thank God. But that experience made me never want to be broken the way she was broken. And if being committed to someone meant that that's how you were going to end up, I just refused to give my heart to anyone. And if my father couldn't be trusted and he was, the best man in the world, no man could be trusted. And so I really led a life of living, like I said, not full out, not loving anyone with my full heart because I didn't want them to have that much power over me. And in that, I met my husband, and he didn't know anything about it. Like I said, I didn't talk about what my mom did in front of me for 25 years. I buried it inside, but I also I didn't really bury the effects of it. I lived those effects of what happened because I was afraid. And I ran from love my entire life because I never wanted to have a gun to my head. And then when I decided to have an affair, and one of my friends decided to actually tell my husband what happened because I really believe she wanted my husband for herself. She told him, in my book I call that chapter My Judas, My Friend, because what she did to try to hurt me actually blessed me and my husband. but she didn't know that was going to happen.
Now, you
So,
tell in the book, and I love the parallel between the situation with your mom, and then you tell your husband, and the next thing you know, there's a gun at your head, and the only thing that flashes through your head is, oh my gosh, I'm in the same exact situation that my mom was in, but the one thing I never wanted to have is what I manifest.
yes, absolutely. That's exactly right. When he found out about the affair, he knew I would never come clean and tell him the truth on my own because, we had talked about that many a times over our 15 years of being in a relationship. Um, just about never wanting to disclose the truth, never confirming the truth. And so he went as far as putting the gun to my head to ask me, was I actually having an affair that he already knew, but he wanted to hear me say the words. And like you just said, in that moment, I really felt like I had an out-of-body experience. I could see myself sitting there with a gun to my head, and I also could see my mother holding the same kind of gun to her head. And the very thing that I was trying to escape my entire life, like you said, I manifested it. And God really said to me in those moments that I wasn't being the daughter that He created me to be, that I couldn't run from love my entire life. And look what running from love did. I was resentful, I was revengeful, I was insecure, I was really broken, and I didn't realize I was broken. And so I couldn't even tell my husband that I was broken when I didn't realize it myself. And I think a lot of us walk around every day not realizing how much past relationships and past hurts are affecting us every day, and we're not allowing ourselves to heal because we won't love full out. But when I had that out-of-body experience and God saved my life, because anything could have happened in that moment. My husband, although his intention was not to kill me, he said he just really wanted me to tell the truth. His finger could have slipped. I could have accidentally hit something, and I would have been dead, and he would have been in jail for the rest of his life. And our children would have been without parents. But so that's something that was very traumatic and hard to accept. I didn't accept it right away. I left for a while, but my husband continued to pray about it. And, God seen it so that we actually reconnected. And I took accountability for my actions. And I had never done that before. I had never given forgiveness the way we're supposed to give forgiveness, forgetting about what happened, and just actually love the person as if it never happened. I never knew how to do that because I never wanted it for myself. It wasn't until I wanted my husband, because I knew I had broke his heart, I wanted my husband to forgive me. And I wanted him to act as if none of that ever happened. And he asked me, well, why should I forgive you? Anytime I did something, you always want to throw it in my face. You always want to bring it up. But now that you've done something, you want me to forget about it. And I said, the truth is, I never knew how to forgive because I never sought it for myself.
That's
and
good
so,
stuff.
yeah. And so sometimes, we just don't realize the true meaning of forgiveness until we're the ones that are seeking grace and mercy. We're so quick to judge, but we want mercy for ourselves.
So,
And
Taneisha,
Mhm.
so you've been through a pretty serious trauma, but your marriage is still together. Give the people, I mean, the book is great. People need to pick it up so they can learn all of your secrets. But if a person were to, listen to this show and then immediately take action on something, what's one thing that they could do right now today to begin making that change in their life, like what you had to, in order to truly move from the affair to after the affair?
The most important thing is to let go of past hurt and past pain and stop living today in yesterday. Because when you live in yesterday, you never get the joy that today brings or that your future brings, because you're continuing to carry that shielded heart, that baggage from one relationship to the next. And the person that you're with today may not even be the person that hurt you at all. It may be that you're punishing them from something that someone else did. And so now you don't trust anyone. Now you're very controlling, very insecure. And you just have to really look inside yourself and say, this is the reason why I act the way I do, but it's time for me to free myself and heal myself. And you're really only going to get that level of healing by seeking God and having God's presence in your life. He is the healer of all things. So we definitely have to, our marriage would have never sustained and overcame this if it wasn't for God's grace and covenant on our marriage union. We didn't do this by ourselves. We're both too stubborn. We're too, quick to hold on to things. You have to really let God keep that covenant over your marriage and seek Him.
Perfect. I love it. The book is called After the Affair, What's Next? It's by Taneisha Mitchell, and it is a great best-selling book that you really need to check out. Taneisha, thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
Well, thank you for having me. I look forward to talking to everyone and getting some feedback from some of my readers to hear how they have grown from the book or really see themselves. We got to be honest with ourselves sometimes and answer the questions that we don't want to answer, but at least be honest to yourself.
I admire Taneisha so much. Her story is powerful. It's impactful, but it's also, let's be honest, it's a little difficult to tell. And I remember when we did Taneisha's book writing session, it was the first time that somebody asked me, can you do my book session in person? And we actually did her book writing session there at Speak and Write in Atlanta. And she was very open, very candid, and shared the story, the details of the whole book that you've got to get with me in person. And together we put together her book right there. And I love having the opportunity to be able to do that for people, to take their story, help them shape it, and form it into an amazing ability to be able to take that talent and that gift, as well as that sandpaper that's happened in your life, and make it into a beautiful gem that can serve the world. I'd love to be able to help do that with you. And of course, you can always come and join us at bestsellersguild.com anytime you're ready to start working on your best-selling book. We would love to have you join us there and be part of our family over there. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back right here on Thriving Entrepreneur. You've heard Kathy and I talk about it. You've seen the workshops. You have watched as others of your friends have become a best-selling author. And now it's your turn. Let me ask you this. What would being a best-selling author do for your business? Over 80% of people surveyed said that they want to write a book, which means that if you're listening, you probably are one of those people. Now is your time, because you have a message that needs to be shared. That message is not for you. It's not for your ego. It is because it serves other people. Kathy and I are here to help you share your unique brilliance with the world. All you need to do is go to WeHelpYouThrive.com, check us out, and find out how you can be a best-selling author. today.
Welcome back to Thriving Entrepreneur.
This is Steve. Welcome back. Do you have a VTech 4-line small business phone system yet? I think you should stop everything right now, put pause on this recording, and go buy one right now. Really, seriously, this is an amazing system. I can't begin to tell you how excited I was when I got to open the box and how awesome it is to have it set up here at our home office. It is so cool. And I mean, there are so many functions in this thing that I haven't gotten a chance to set up. I know they're there. I just, haven't used them yet, but I'm so excited to be able to add in things like a phone tree so that we can have people, they call in and press 1 for sales, press 2 for the service department, and even though on a day-to-day basis, Kathy and I, our staff actually are outsourced, they don't work here in our home office. I like the concept of having them have a voicemail that they can call into, and our operations people and our sales people and different ones can call into, and they can check their messages, and they can have their own extensions so that it's not a general mailbox, but it actually is an individualized thing for the sales department, for the service people. And I think it really makes your customers feel better too when they can get directed to something specific. Now, I'm not talking about one of those confusing ones. We've all dealt with them, where you press 1 and then you press 9 and then you press 6. You press so many buttons that you don't even know where you're at. And then finally, when you do get a person on the phone, what you want to say is, hey, I don't think I have the right department, but I'm sorry that I got to you. This is, what I thought might be the right button. It doesn't have to be that kind of thing, and it's not designed to be that way. With the VTech 4-line small business phone system, you can have a clean, easy-to-use phone tree that allows people to be able to get to the right department, or if those people aren't on site, you can even just set up the voicemail boxes and have them be able to leave messages for the right person so that the right member of your staff has the ability to get to that stuff without having a sales call mixed in with a service call mixed in with, a current client that you're already working on. And so I encourage you to really do check out the VTech 4-line small business phone system. All right, so we had a great best-selling author that we talked with in the first segment. Taneisha shared both her struggles and her victories and how she's come out to the other side, finding a newer, more passionate, deeper sense of love and purpose in her life because she went through a valley, but then she came out the other side. Sometimes we have other things that happen to us in life. We have a need in our business especially, and as entrepreneurs, we're all a little crazy, and we just go out and we try to find a solution. We come into a problem and we just go, I'll just go find the solution for it then. And in looking around, we find, sometimes even solutions that nobody else is really teaching, or maybe nobody else has even found. And it's really awesome when you can take something like that and then realize, hey, I'm meant to share this with the world. That's such a deeply impactful internal feeling when you have the ability to do something amazing like that, and then be able to share it with the world. And I love all of our best-selling authors and the things that they bring to you. But now I want to talk with you about a subject that most people are afraid to talk about. Money. Just as sure as I start saying it and talking about it, there are a few of you that have some fears around the money in your business. But the truth of the matter is that money really can help you do the things, reach the people, be the person that you're meant to be in the world. And it comes from learning how to be savvy as a CFO in your business. And so to help us with that today, I'm really delighted to be joined by our best-selling author, Myra Good, and she's going to talk to us about her book and some insights on how you can be the Savvy CFO. Hi, Myra. How are you?
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing so good. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about your background. How did you become the Savvy CFO?
Well, I've actually gone through the funding process myself. A lot of times you'll meet people who, will teach you about financing and funding and loans and things like that, and they actually never have gone through it personally. I used to have a handbag line. I manufactured overseas. My fulfillment center was in Charlotte, and I was based out of Dallas. So we had a lot of moving parts, a lot of things that I sold. My customer base was not end-to-end customers. It was wholesalers. So I sold to boutiques, and I also sold at trade shows and things like that. So I got into the funding because I needed money to actually get my line off the ground and get it out of my head and off of my off of the pages in my journal boards into actual real life, right? A lot of times we think about, I really want to do this, I really want to do that, and we really don't have the means to do it. A lot of people, the fun fact, 98% of people get turned down by traditional banks. So I had to search and find a way because I really wanted this handbag line to be launched, and I didn't let being turned down by traditional banks stop me. So fast forward to today, I now, because I've gone through those experiences, I now help other entrepreneurs get their ideas off the ground via funding and let them know that the traditional bank is not the only way that you can come up with funds to get your business going, to get it started, or to help it grow.
That is so important too, because there's kind of a fallacy out there that you can start your business with no money.
Right. right.
And any of us that have ever tried it find out very quickly that you better figure out a way to have some kind of money.
Right. And I think a lot of times people, when they're starting their business, or they carry into business funding the consumer financing mindset, right? A lot of my conversations with people, we have this whole thought process of, if you take out a line of credit for your business, it's going to damage you. And I'm like, well, if you ever want to become the Walmart, the Targets, the, Fords of the world, Apple, they have that meme going around right now on social media where it has all of the big companies like Amazon, Walmart, all those stores, they started in a garage, right? Well, Walmart has over 300 lines of credit. Like, no one's building, a business, off of their personal funds. That's usually not the way most people start those large companies. And so a lot of times we carry into those self-limiting beliefs about money into our business. And then what does that do? That limits your business. And so what I did with the book was I wanted to create a guide, kind of like a reference guide of people that they could pick up and actually read about how to get money for your business. I tell a lot of folks that this is not a journal. It's not something where it's meant to be read from cover to cover, right? Unless you're in my industry and things like this interest you, or you're in kind of a partnering. If you're a tax, if you're a CPA, you may find it interesting or something like that. However, it's meant for you to read and then go implement. Read a little bit more and then go implement. I consider it kind of like a how-to resource guide versus it's not necessarily a novel of my life story.
Yeah. Well, and I know that probably one of the biggest misconceptions that people have is, well, I don't have that great of credit, so there's no way I'm going to be able to get funding.
Right. And I think that is a very big myth. And I think people, so what, part of, what I do is we help clear that up, right? And I think that with people who don't have great credit, we work with people who as low as 600 credit scores, right? Also in the book, there's a way for you to build credit that's not tied to you personally. A lot of folks are, unfamiliar with business credit and how that works. I hope all the listeners understand that there's no financial situation that you can't come out of. Like, there's nothing that you can't overcome. There's nothing that you can't kind of work with or work around that can't help you get your business where you need it to be. Now, sometimes, you know, a lot of folks, it's either time or money, right, depending on your level of risk, right? I like to think that all entrepreneurs have a little bit of cuckoo, right, because it's a crazy thought to say, hey, I'm not going to go the traditional route of working in corporate America, working from someone else. I'm going to branch out and do something on my own, something different, right? So with every entrepreneur, there's a level of cuckoo, right?
Mm-hmm.
just to branch out, right? We all have a level of, you know, crazy, this crazy idea we all have. So with that, we all have a certain level of risk. You know, some people like, you know, that we talk to are very low risk, and they're like, hey, you know, I'd rather spend time, you know, building my business credit, working on my personal credit, and then we'll seek funding. And then I have people who are balls to the wall, and they're like, hey, I want to get, you know, these large lines. I need them in 30 days. Let's do this. And so part of the reason why I wrote the book is that people could see all the options that are available to them. So not only does the book talk about business credit and different, you know, you can do equipment leasing, equipment financing, you can do merchandise advances, things like that. But I also talk about the person who works full time and is just starting a business and what they can do. And the person who is, hey, maybe I can barter and get money for my business. Or the person who's kind of like, hey, I'm still kind of living at home with mom and dad. I have a little bit of flexible, I don't have, you know, a lot of money, but instead of, you know, asking your parents to buy you the new pair of shoes, how about asking them to buy you, you know, Photoshop? If you are in graphic design or things like that. All of those things are addressed in the book, depending at what level that they're at.
And in the end, you know, you brought up such a great point. It's really about choices. What are
Right.
you going to choose to spend your time and energy in? And what are you willing to do to, you know, get this dream out there into the world?
Right. And that is to choose, all about choice. I also cover in the book, you know, the difference between, you know, coaching, right? Because coaching is a big industry now. And finding, you know, sometimes you need money to either implement what your coach has told you to do, or you need funding, or you need some type of, you know, funds to actually get someone to guide you along in the process. You could be the absolute best copywriter in the world, but if you don't know how to get your name out there, that could kind of kill your business.
Mm.
And so sometimes, you know, a lot of times in business, we don't know that it's a business advisor versus a business coach. An advisor may be just someone that you know that's in your industry that kind of just gives you some tips here and there. There, you know, there's no muss, no fuss. There's no scheduling calls and things like that. And then you may have a business coach that meets with you every 30 days, right? They meet with you, give you assignments, they come back, we meet again, or things like that. And so I think entrepreneurs, when it comes to funding, they need to know how to assign your dollars. You know, that's also covered in, like, how do I know what expenses that I need or that could come about? And how, if I do get the funding, what am I going to do now? Okay, I got funding. Great. Woohoo. What do I do with this money now to make sure that it gets me a return and it grows my business? And that I don't, you know, it's not something where I feel like, oh man, I wasted it.
Oh, so you're saying that after we get the funding, we shouldn't then immediately take a trip to Disney World?
Yeah, you know, and that's something that a lot of people have asked me about, just privately, like, hey, what can I do? I said, well, there's really no limit. There's no one that's standing over you that says you have to do this with this money. However, you want to be smart to make sure that, you know, you do have a good use of that money. I personally can't tell you what to do with it, but that's kind of a maturity thing, right? A lot of folks, when they make money, you know, their first time business, make a large sum. You know, a lot of folks have the story where, hey, I blew it all. Mm-hmm. And now, you know, my business is still at the same place it was before I had the big launch or the big release or something like that. So that does happen quite often. I also get folks, we talk a little bit about, the line of credit versus a loan. I think, the popular term is, oh, I'm going to get an SBA loan. But how many people do you know who have actually gotten an SBA loan? Like, how many business owners do you know have actually gotten an SBA loan? But the SBA loan is what people say to me. And, my answer to them is, one, do you know anybody that's getting an SBA loan? And then two, do you know what that means when you get an SBA loan? And is that something that you really want? And so when I explain to them that the loan is something that if you get a loan, you have to pay that back whether you're in business or not. Then the conversation is a little bit different. Now they want to hear the options. Now they want to talk about, okay, well, what else can I do? So I would say it's a different conversation. And I think that's why, I read a lot of books. I go out in the market and I want to see what's out there. And I didn't find anything that really told me an honest truth about money when it comes to business. And so that's kind of who I wrote the book for. That's kind of why the book is not it's not a page turner. It's not meant to be a cliffhanger. But it's there as a resource. It's there as information. And it's there that, hey, if I want to do a crowdfunding campaign, let me see what the book says about this. Let me see what it says about getting, financing.
Yeah, absolutely. So of all the tips that you have out of the book, if a person is just starting out, what's one tip we can give them that they could implement right now today to be more savvy in general with their money?
Be more savvy. One tip I would tell them is to open up a business bank account. Because that's the one thing, the saying that it says you bite your nose to spite your face. A lot of times we say, hey, I'm not going to open up a business bank account because they're going to charge me $15 a month. So I'm going to go open up something. I'm going to do a PayPal. I'm going to do something else so I don't have to pay for a business bank account. Well, in the eyes of a lender, your company has not started until you have a business bank account. So we have a lot of people out there who, especially in the internet marketing type of world, they have amazing businesses. They have businesses that are actually profitable, but they don't have a real bank account. So your options get very, very limited when you talk about coming for funding and trying to grow, because everything is housed over to PayPal. And then you have situations where PayPal, let's say you've been in business for 6 months and you're planning for a super big launch, and you make $50,000 in a weekend, and PayPal instantly locks up those funds because they don't understand how you made so much money in a short amount of time, and your account has been dormant for the past 6 months. So now you have a situation where you can't get to the money you just made because you're using PayPal, right? And so if I think anyone who's starting out, go ahead and get the business bank account, even if you have to take money from your personal account and deposit it into your business bank account. Even if you have to do that initially for the first 6 months, for the first year, for the first 2 years, get the business account started as soon as possible, because that is officially the date your business has started.
Good tip. Yeah. And absolutely, just to kind of jump on top of what you were saying about the PayPal, if you have a big launch coming out, whether you use PayPal or whomever as your merchant processor, make sure you have let them know you are expecting way more money coming in, because they will lock up that money and be like, prove it to me that you were just out selling drugs,
Right. And it has happened, and they're known for that, and that's not that's not to, I love PayPal. I use PayPal. I think it's just, a lot of folks don't understand the, the implications in the long run of solely using PayPal, and that's PayPal being your only place that you have funds at. And sometimes, it's the whole thing of, well, you don't want to pay, but now you are paying, because now you can't get to your money for 30 days.
Yeah.
And that type of thing. So, yeah.
Well, and it's an amazing book, The Savvy CFO, by Myra Good,
Yeah.
a best-selling book.
Yeah.
And I really encourage you, go to Amazon and pick up the Savvy CFO today. Myra, thanks so much for being on the show with us.
Thank you.
There is money out there, money to be able to finance your purpose, your passion, and your dreams. And it may not necessarily be, going to whatever branch of a local bank there next door to you and saying, hey, hit me up with a loan. It may be that there are other ways, other things that you'll need to do to begin the financing of that. And then as you grow, there will be other opportunities that become available to you. But it's important that you really understand both how to get the money as well as, what to do with it once you have it. And I really appreciate Myra's book and what she was able to do to help us out with that. Here we come for our last commercial break, and then we'll be right back here on Thriving Entrepreneur. You've heard Kathy and I talk about it. You've seen the workshops. You have watched as others of your friends have become a best-selling author, and now it's your turn. Let me ask you this. What would being a best-selling author do for your business? Over 80% of people surveyed said that they want to write a book, which means that if you're listening, you probably are one of those people. Now is your time because you have a message that needs to be shared. That message is not for you. It's not for your ego. It is because it serves other people. Kathy and I are here to help you share your unique brilliance with the world. All you need to do is go to WeHelpYouThrive.com, check us out, and find out how you can be a best-selling author today.
Welcome back to Thriving Entrepreneur.
This is Steve. Welcome back. Well, at the beginning of the show, I promised you that we were going to talk about some really impactful issues that you needed to hear about from some more of our amazing best-selling authors. But I also promised that if you were listening, you could begin to see how all of those things that you've been through can be used together for your good and for the good of the world. And I really do hope that you will begin to reframe the worst of and the best of the situations you've been through and see that all of our lives were never meant for us. What you've been through, what you know, what you've learned, and where you now live is only as good as your ability to be able to give it away, to serve that person next to you, to give what you've learned and make an impact in the world. If each of us just simply took upon ourselves to be the best version of ourselves, this would be an amazing world. And I love our opportunity that Kathy and I get every day to work with game changers, world leaders that are changing the planet. One life at a time, sometimes roomfuls of hundreds and thousands of people. We're so blessed to be able to, spend time at the Motivating the Masses office and get to know personally Lisa Nichols and Susie Carter, Matt Gill, Margaret Packer, and all the rest of the team. I don't want any of you to feel slighted if I didn't say you by name just now, because you're all such an amazing group of people. And there are so many other leaders out there like that. Pastors of churches, teachers in schools that are making a difference on our planet. Like I said, sometimes one life at a time, sometimes hundreds and even thousands of lives at a time. And you are here meant to impact your part of the world. There could be a single person right now that's at home searching the internet looking for the answer to what they're going through. Or there could be throngs of people that would fill stadiums that need to hear what you've been through, and more importantly, how you came out to the other side, what you learned from it. That lesson wasn't for you, it was to be able to give it away. I'm glad you came through it. I don't want to diminish how low that valley was and how great it is to not be down there now. But now, that thing you've been through, it's there so that you can give it away, so that you can reach back down the mountain and help somebody else take one more step up. We're always talking about how there's somebody that's 5 steps ahead of you and 5 steps behind you. It's important that we always take personally in life, take on the commitment that we're going to reach for those ahead of us and also reach for those behind us. That together as humans, we all come together and begin to really change this planet for good, to make a difference, to make an impact. That's what you were meant to do. So find that purpose, find that passion, live in the center and the core and the heart of it. Live it fully, completely, and passionately, so that on those days when you don't feel like getting out of bed, you spring out of bed anyway, because you know you have a world change, you have a purpose, and you're ready to go out and live today to its fullest. I want that for you. There's nothing better than when you have an opportunity to give the fullness of who you are to somebody else that helps them be able to take one step further in their life. And ultimately, bestsellersguild.com, our Facebook group, Bestsellers Guild, that's what it's for. It's a family, a community of people who want on purpose to come together with their passion, with their purpose, with all the junk that all of us have been through. That ick that's so easy to run away from, to embrace it, to come over top of it, and then share it with the world in a powerful and impactful way that helps other people know that they're not alone, that what they're going through, there is a way out, that there is an answer. They don't have to search all night on the internet anymore looking for the solution, because there is a solution. And in somebody's life right now, that solution is you. So please come join us at bestsellersguild.com. Ask to join our Facebook group and then join with us, because we need you. You are uniquely brilliant. You were created not by accident, not by man's force. You were created for a purpose. And the world, all of us here in the world, we need you. Kathy and I love being part of helping you live every day of your life as a thriving entrepreneur. We want that for you. We crave that for you. And we're here to give it to you, just like breathing air or water. Until then, have a great week. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for listening to Thriving Entrepreneur today. If you want to get your question answered, send an email to questions@wehelpyouthrive.com. We look forward to you joining us again next time.
You've heard Kathy and I talk about it. You've seen the workshops. You have watched as others of your friends have become a best-selling author. And now it's your turn. Let me ask you this. What would being a best-selling author do for your business? Over 80% of people surveyed said that they want to write a book, which means that if you're listening, you probably are one of those people. Now is your time, because you have a message that needs to be shared. That message is not for you. It's not for your ego. It is because it serves other people. Kathy and I are here to help you share your unique brilliance with the world. All you need to do is go to WeHelpYouThrive.com, check us out, and find out how you can be a best-selling author today.